Sahanavavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalayas Sada Bhavatu me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Ishavasyopanishad Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagate Tena Tyaktena Bhunjithaha Magrudah Kasya Svidhanam Kuruvanneveha Karmani Jiji Vishechatagam Samaha Evam Tvai Nanyatetosti Nakarmalipyate Nare Asuryanamate Lokaha Andhena Tamasavrutaha Tamste Pretyabhigachanti Yeke Chatmahano Janaha Anejadekam Manaso Javiyah Nainadeva Apnuvan Purvamarshate Tadhavatonya Tishthate Tasminnapo Matarishva Dadhati Tadejati Tannaijati Taddure Tadvantike Tadantarasya Sarvasya Tadu Sarvasyasya Bahyatah Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmanyevanupashyati Sarva Bhuteshu Atmanam Tato na Vijugupsate. We were seeing the sixth mantra, where the indicator of Atma Drishti is given and the Phalashruti of Atma Drishti, both of them are given in this mantra. When can a sadhaka say, I have understood Vedanta, or the point where Vedanta wanted me to reach, that is somewhere in sight now. The day when we start understanding that this creation is appearing in Aham, this whole Jagat is appearing in Aham, that is when the essence of Vedanta is being understood. Yahatu sarvani bhutani kutra pashyati. Where does he see? Atmani eva pashyati. He sees all of that in Atma. And Sarva Bhuteshu cha Atmanam. Of all the beings, he sees himself as Atma of that being. Sarva Bhuteshu cha Atmanam tatah na vijugupsate. With this jnana drishti, with this vision, he doesn't get turned off by this world, doesn't get fed up, doesn't have jealousy and hatred in this world. This is the complete spiritual journey. Although in between, there might be several other goals. Memorizing verses also is a goal. Cross-referencing is also a goal. Understanding every word, opening up every word. But none of that is fulfilled until this Phalashruti is seen in a sadhaka. Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, if we miss this point, then our study will be only for bhoga, not for mukti. Vag Vaikhari Shabdajhari. He says there is a sadhaka who can very eloquently speak on Vedanta. Vag Vaikhari. Vaikhari means his speech is such, it flows like river. For every point of expression, he has 4 ways of presenting it. Shabdajhari. Shastra Vyakhyana Kaushalam. Elaborate on all points of Shastra. Bhagavan says, I will call you Vidusha, scholar. But that scholarship will be only for bhukti, not for mukti. Vaidushyam vidusham tadvate bhuktaye natu muktaye. That scholarly understanding of scriptures is of no use. It might get some worldly benefits. But as far as he is concerned on his spiritual journey, sorrow is very safely sitting inside. Desires are sitting inside. Punarjanma is waiting next. All of that is what happens when we miss the boat. By the way, where was this verse from? Vag Vaikhari Shabdajhari. Don't say you don't know, huh? Viveka Chudamani. Vivek Chudamani. So that is this verse. Upanishad mantra is telling us majority problems in life are because we have misunderstood ourselves. Not knowing that Atma to be our true nature, and also not knowing the Mahima of that Atma. Mahima means greatness, that this self alone is appearing as this whole creation. We end up having Vijugupsa in this world. Vijugupsa means some jealousy, some hatred. Moment we see something is different from us, that is a fertile ground for all of these emotions to take root. The traditional story for this one is, there is a dog which enters a palace of mirrors. Different mirrors are there in a shape, and it enters, and suddenly it sees thousands of dogs. And that dog goes near, all the dogs come near. And this dog feels threatened. I don't know what they're going to do. And it starts barking. They also start barking. And finally, whole night it stays there, jumping on all the mirrors, bleeding, and finally tired, it falls down. When this aham goes, all the other things which were appearing, that also comes down. Means all the reflections, they also get quietened when this ahankara got quietened. The other way to look at it is, there was only one appearing as many. The moment it gave independent reality to that reflection, the reflected image of a dog, that is when entire samsara started. If at all we want to give reality to reflection, it is said you can say good things. If the dog had to be nice to the reflected dog, reflection also would have been nice. Another traditional example is echo. See, we live in this world, what we get back is an echo of what we have done before. What we are going to get in the future is an echo of what we are doing right now. That is how an echo works, right? You say a good thing, it comes back multifold. But the truth is, there is only silence. Echo is only a superimposition. If at all you want to give reality to that echo, transactional way of living there is, say good things will come back. That is karma siddhanta. But from Paramartha standpoint, there is no manyness. There is only one appearing as many. So the dog example, you can take it from both standpoints. One standpoint is, in a transactional plane, if you want to live in that palace of mirrors, do good things, the other reflection also will return back good. But the truth is, there are not many reflections to begin with. There is only one appearing as many. Like that, there is only one Chaitanya appearing as many of these conditionings. Now let us see Bhashya. Different ideas will open up now. Yastu Yaha Parivrad Mumukshu Sarvani Bhutani Avyaktadini Sthavarantani Atmani eva Anupashyati Atmavyatiriktani Na pashyati Ityarthah. Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmani eva Anupashyati. First line of the mantra that is elaborated here. Now what is the meaning of Yaha? So Yahatu is two words there. Huh? Yahatu becomes Yastu. Which Sandhi is this? Namaste Sandhi. Namahate becomes Namaste. Yahatu becomes Yastu. Who is this Yaha? Bhagavan says, Yaha Parivrad. Parivrad means Sannyasi, the one whom we discussed about in mantra number 1. Parivrad means the one who has gotten up from all Vishaya Bhogas and he is moving around with absolute freedom. That sadhaka is called as Parivrad. The etymology of Parivrad is Vishaya Bhogam Parityajya Yaha Vrajati. Vishaya Bhogam Parityajya Yaha Vrajati. One who roams around having given up desire for sense objects. That person is called as Parivrad. If you want to look at his life differently, it has been a journey for him from Chamakam to Namakam. Chamakam is, Bhagwan, may I have this, may I have that, may I have this, may I have that. Chame, chame, chame. Namakam is Namo Namaha. That Bhagwan, everything is there. I bow down. I don't want to own up anything. That is his bhavana. That is the person who is called as Parivrad. Since Vishaya Bhogas, if they are there, so be it. He says, I will not go after them. Vedanta Sara, we had seen this point, right? There is one thing to do Upayoga, another thing to do Bhoga. Upayoga means a thing is being used for whatever need it has to be used for. Bhoga means that person is seeking joy in and through that Vishaya. For example, a house or a car, one can do Upayoga of that. So to live, you need a house. To travel, you need a car. But if sadhaka is not alert, that same Vishaya, one can do Bhoga also. One can start enjoying that sense object. So this is Parivrad is somebody who has a very healthy perspective towards Vishaya Bhoga. In Janaka Maharaj's life, somebody asks him, how are you living amidst all these bhogas? Some people say Sukhdev Ji Maharaj asked. He was guru of Sukhdev Ji also. How are you living amidst all Vishaya Bhogas? Janaka Maharaj says, let us say you go to a room, new place you are going and staying in a room, and right before you go to bed, you see a snake in your room. Then it disappears. Having seen that snake once, the kind of sleep that you will get, like that I am living in this palace filled with Vishayas. Means at every step, knowing the consequences of doing Bhoga of Vishaya. That is his bhavana, that Parivrad who is very, very alert. One who is mamata. Mamata means minus, does not go with anything in this creation, doesn't feel proud to own up anything. In fact, he feels it to be a burden. That is one step of sadhana where a sadhaka is matured from his previous stage. There could have been a stage when doership looked very appealing. Kartrutva was so appealing. Bhoktutva was very appealing. But this Parivrad is somebody who has gotten up from Kartrutva and Bhoktutva also. Doership and enjoyership, both of these things look to be a burden for this sadhaka. All of that is meaning of the same thing, Parivrad. One who does Upayoga, not Bhoga, and one who doesn't have minus, mamata, with anything in his life. Very healthy perspective towards everything. And what about the future? He says, if such a life he is living, what about the future? Prarabdhaya samarpitam swavapuhu. Manisha Panchakam, we saw that. This sadhaka says, why do I doubt my Bhagwan so much? Until now, he has given so many things he gave unasked. See, one way of prarabdha is to say destiny. Another way to look at prarabdha is grace of God. It is the same thing. Devotee says grace of God. One who has more faith in his own karma, his own past, he says prarabdha. Transactional, worldly person will say, it is my self-effort which is going to take care of my future. All three are true. But this Parivrad is having more conviction and faith in grace of Bhagwan. Purandar Dashi has written one composition, Kottavaru Sariye, Kodade Bittidaru Sariye. Huttisida Prabhu Namage Hottege Kodadirane. If Bhagwan gives, it is good. Kottavaru Sariye. If there is something he does not give, that is also fine. Why are we so anxious about whether we will be taken care of in the future or not? If somebody took care of us after giving birth. Huttisida Prabhu Namage Hottege Kodadirane. Means when we had no clue about how we will be taken care of, we could not express anything. At that time also he arranged for us to be taken care of. See, hereafter also, why fear about how this body will continue? All of these are mindsets of Parivrad. Vishaya bhogam parityajya yaha vrajati. One who has gotten up from all anxieties and worries about life. Once we start studying Vedanta, we'll very quickly realize only such a person can reflect on Vedanta. If something immediate is overly concerning, that sadhaka cannot say, Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani eva anupashyati. Because world is very much real. In that world, he is trying to fix something. In fact, he'll get more agitated if he reads Vedanta. That is the adhikara which is expected that we cultivate for ourselves. What is the adhikara? Ability to keep world away, not give more importance to it than what it deserves. At least while studying. At least while studying. In the light of that knowledge, it says slowly we can unfold our day. Even until now, we have seen whatever experiences have been in the past. Once we know how to deal with it, it doesn't look very overwhelming. Sometimes parents share this, Second child is much easier than the first. First one, you're so anxious for everything you're calling home. But once you know how to deal, second one is not that difficult. In the same way, in Vyavahara, this sadhaka has learned the ability not to get tossed up and down with every small thing. not to get carried away by every experience which comes his way, such that he can put his mind in the scripture. That is his main goal. All of this is Lakshana of Parivrad. Bhagavan says that Parivrad is also Mumukshu. Parivrad Mumukshuhu, one who is seeking abidance in this truth. One who knows that sorrow will end only when I know this Atma and I negate this whole creation in that Atma. As long as we feel I have some solution by fixing something in the world, our entry into Vedanta has not taken place thoroughly. It is not to say that he will not fix anything in the world. He will still fix, but with this clear idea that this is only a part-time solution. Hindi they call it as Jugad. Jugad means if you have a TV, it doesn't work. You hit it twice, it starts working. But that solution is something, it is not long-lasting, going to fall apart again. Like that he feels in his life, whatever challenges might be there. Health, family, relationship. Whatever he fixes, he says this is only Jugad, not a permanent solution. For permanent solution, I have to become a Mumukshu. Abide in that Atma Tattva, which is devoid of Prapancha. That person is called as Mumukshu. Now, those who are studying Viveka Chudamani, you should go back and check the definition of Mumukshu. In Sadhana Chatushtaya, this is one of the definition, right? Adhikari Vishaya, not Adhikari Vishaya. Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi, Sampatti, and then Mumukshutvam. So Mumukshutvam definition, we have to notice. Okay. That is how we'll cross-connect. If you have studied Tattva Bodha, go and see in Tattva Bodha. Bhagavan Shankaracharya only used the word Mumukshu here. So what is Mumukshu? See the definition there. Vedanta Sara also we discussed. See the third definition in Vedanta Sara. And then see, how can I bring those qualities in me? That is the whole point. Otherwise, what is the point in comparing three different definitions? Okay. Mumukshuhu Sarvani Bhutani. He sees all the beings. Bhutani means whatever is known as existing. Sarvani Bhutani, whatever is existing, those beings. So what is existing over here? It's not only this gross world. He starts from Avyakta, unmanifest world. Avyaktadini Sthavarantani. In between, Sukshma also is included. From Avyakta, unmanifest, Sukshma to Sthula, all of that. Where does he see? Atmani eva anupashyati. He sees all of that in Atma, in his own self. Atma vyatiktani na pashyati ityartha. Bhagavan clarifies there. This particular definition has come to show that he doesn't see the world as different from himself. Means to show this abheda. Abheda means non-duality. That is why those examples we discussed. It is unlike if there is rice put in pot. Pot can say, rice is in me. This is unlike that. Because rice is independent, pot is independent. Whereas here when he says, he sees all the bhuta in himself, he knows that this entire creation is only an appearance, it is mithya. What is real is only Atma. That he is able to accomplish through knowledge. The best example for this is dream. When the dreamer wakes up, what does the waking mind see the dream to be? In dream there was mountain, there was river, there was me also. And there were so many other people with whom I was interacting in dream. Now what is his understanding on waking up? Sarvani Bhutani Atmani Eva Anupashyati. He sees all the beings in the waking mind alone. This is example, huh? This is not the main point. Just like the waker sees the entire dream world in his own waking mind, he says it's a projection of the waking mind. Like that, Jnani sees this whole prapancha in Atma as a projection. That is his ability to not give too much importance to Vyavahara. Vyavahara means transactions. In fact, that is the blessing of Dharmic life. Person who has lived a Dharmic life, one who has held on to values, that person can forget Vyavahara very quickly. If we say truthfulness is a Dharmic value, you have to practice Satyam. Now, why do we practice Satyam? Is it to benefit the world? World will benefit if you speak the truth. I say, no. We practice Satyam because if you are truthful in your transactions, you can forget that transaction right after it is done. If one lie comes in between, a Satyam comes, that is sufficient for that sadhaka to keep remembering that Vyavahara. So all values will ultimately lead to this particular nivritti, where he can forget the world and understand that this creation is nothing but a superimposition on oneself. Now you can take any value for that matter. We say we should have calmness as a value. Shanti should be there. Akama one should become. Desireless one should become. Think of it the other way also. In Vyavahara, if any of these things come, opposite of calmness is anger. Opposite of akama is some strong desire. With that anger, with that desire, if we do any Vyavahara, then no matter how much you try to say Jagat is mithya, we will feel Vedanta is not practical enough. So all of these points will be covered in the sadhana chatushtaya part of it, where it will remind us if we want to abide here, those are the things we have to keep working on. Sarvani bhutani avyaktadini sthavarantani atmani eva anupashyati atma vyatiriktani na pashyati ityartha. This is the implied meaning. Like how for previous verse also there was an implied meaning. So the implied meaning of this point is, implied meaning of this mantra, first line where he says, he sees all the beings in Atma. The implied meaning is, he doesn't see the world as different from himself. Abheda darshanam, that is why, to show that this particular mantra is there. Now the second line, Sarva Bhuteshu cha teshu eva cha Atmanam tesham api bhutanam swam Atmanam Atmatvena yatha asya dehasya karyakarana sanghatasya Atma aham sarva pratyaya sakshi bhutah chetayita kevalah nirgunah anena eva swarupena avyaktadinam sthavarantanam aham eva atma iti sarva bhuteshu cha atmanam nirvishesham yah tu anupashyati sah tatah tasmat eva darshanat na vijugupsate Vijugupsam grunam na karoti praptasya eva anuvadah ayam. It's a long sentence, huh? Just one sentence is so long. If ever we get this question, oh, Vedanta keeps saying, see this whole creation in yourself, or see yourself as this whole creation. So I just don't get it. I see myself as this body. I see myself as this person. How am I to understand I am the river, I am the mountain, I am all this creation? What does Vedanta want to say? If at all we get this question anytime, answer for this we'll find in this bhashya. How to look at Saarvaatmya bhava. Saarvaatmya bhava means Sarvam Atma Aham iti bhavaha. I am all, I am this creation. How to look at this understanding, that is elaborated in this bhashya. Sarva Bhuteshu cha teshu eva. What does Sarva Bhuteshu refer to here? Just what we discussed before. Sarvani Bhutani was there. Now Sarveshu Bhuteshu is there. Sarva Bhuteshu is there, starting from Avyakta all the way till Sthavarantan. Sarva Bhuteshu cha teshu eva. Teshu means the same what we discussed before. In that alone, cha Atmanam tesham api bhutanam swam atmatvena pashyati. In all those beings, in all those bhuta, he sees that as, he sees himself as Atma of that entire thing. Tesham api bhutanam, of those bhutas, swam atmanam atvatvena. Until that point you pause. He sees the whole creation and he sees himself as Atma of that entire creation. Now Bhagavan says, if this becomes difficult for you to understand, if you are finding it difficult, how to see yourself as Atma of this entire creation? He says, let us take an example. Okay. Now you are familiar with Vedanta Sara, so you can use these technical words. We saw something called as Tatpada and something called as Tvam-pada. There was Tatpada Shodanam and Tvam-pada Shodanam. Shodanam means to inquire, to research, to purify that meaning of Tvam-pada. Now what is Tvam-pada? Is whenever the truth is indicated through individual conditioning. That is called as Tvam-pada. When truth is indicated with total conditioning, that is called as Tatpada. There are no two truths. Same truth. First you indicate through individual conditioning. Either you take Panchakosha Viveka, for example. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. Atma is that which is beyond this Panchakosha. When you say like that, you are doing Tvam-pada Shodanam. You are inquiring more into individual and arriving at that truth. But if you say, first there was Brahma, then there is Maya, then 5 elements, then Sukshma Srishti came, then Panchikaranam happened, Stula Srishti came. And you point out that truth as origin of creation. When you start thinking about totality, that is called as Tatpada. And you go to that truth by sifting through the creation, that is called as Tatpada Shodanam. How did we sift through the Panchakoshas? Through Tvam-pada Shodanam. We said, I cannot be Annamaya Kosha, I cannot be Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. That is Tvam-pada Shodanam. Totality level, if you do it, it is called as Tatpada Shodanam. Now Bhagavan is telling here, see, what you really want to understand is at Tatpada level. I am that consciousness which is a substratum of this whole creation. I am the Atma of this entire Jagat. But if you are finding it difficult to understand directly, take Tvam Pada as an example and see how you will recognize yourself as Atma of this Deha first. Just like you do here, do it for Tatpada also. This is a masterpiece Bhashya, very subtle in terms of how he is opening this topic. Now you see what Bhagavan is telling. So Yatha Asya, from that point, is the example now. It says Yatha Asya Dehasya. Just like for a Mumukshu, he thinks this body. Dehasya means of this body. What does he think? He says, first of all, let us define what is Dehasya. So Dehasya is defining in the next part now. Dehasya means Karya Karana Sanghatasya. Karya Karana Sanghatasya, assemblage of Karya and Karana, instruments and their cause. So you can say Karana Sharira is there, and then the effect is Sukshma Sharira and Sthula Sharira. All of that together is called as Deha. So whatever word Bhagavan uses in Bhashya, he doesn't leave up to us to interpret what you want to interpret of that word. So whenever we say body, our mind only goes to physical body. He says, no. You have to take Karya Karana. Start from causal body, subtle body, and gross body. Karya Karana Sanghatasya. How does this Mumukshu look upon his Deha, this Karya Karana Sanghata? Atma Aham. He says, I am the Atma of this Deha. Now he's doing Tvam Pada Shodanam. He's inquiring from Tvam Pada standpoint. First, what did he say? Yatha Asya Dehasya. Just like for a Mumukshu, he looks upon his body. The moment he used the word body, he said, let me first define what is body. Dehasya, then he clarified. He says, Karya Karana Sanghatasya. Causal body, subtle body, and gross body. How does Mumukshu look at this? He says, I am the Atma of this Deha. I am the Atma of this Deha. So what does Atma of Deha mean? Bhagavan says, that also I will not leave up to you to think on your own. He clarifies even that. What does it mean when Mumukshu says, I am Atma of this Deha? Next part is elaboration of that particular phrase, Dehasya Atma Aham. Sarva Pratyaya Sakshi. I am the witness of all thoughts. When a Mumukshu says, I am Atma of Deha, this is how he understands that. I am the Sakshi of all thoughts. Sarva Pratyaya Sakshi. Sakshi Bhutaha. Chetayita. I am the enlivener of this entire assemblage. From me alone, all these three shariras, they get existence and they are enlivened because of me alone. Kevalaha. Kevala means, although they have three different parts, there is causal body, subtle body, and gross body, there is no parts in me. And I am not part of this Sanghata also. I am not part of this assemblage. Does it ring a bell from Kenopanishad? Sanghatasya pararthatvat. Whenever you see an assemblage, that assemblage is always for something different from that assemblage. Assemblage means what is assembled by putting together parts. That assemblage will never be for its own sake. What was the example? House is there. House is not for its own sake. House is for somebody who is different from that assemblage. Car is an assemblage. Car is not for its own sake. It is for somebody who is different from that assemblage. Like that, this body is an assemblage. So there has to be some entity which is different from this assemblage, and it is not part of it. Entire assemblage functions for that entity, which is Atma. That is the meaning of the word Kevalaha. Kevala means which is not part of Sanghata. Nirgunaha. Nirguna means in Deha there is Jnana Shakti, there is Ichha Shakti, and there is Kriya Shakti. Jnana Shakti belongs to Manomaya Kosha or Vijnanamaya Kosha. Ichha Shakti also belongs to Jnana and Ichha. Jnana and Manomaya and Vijnanamaya. Then Kriya Shakti belongs to Pranamaya. Prana is what enlivens the Kriya. And Jnana and Ichha belong to Manomaya and Vijnanamaya. None of that is in me. That is the meaning of the word Nirgunaha. Guna means these three things: Jnana, Ichha, Kriya. So when Mumukshu says, I am Atma of Deha, all these points comes to his mind. What were the points? Again, you see now. Huh? Okay, let us start from the first so that it's a good recap. What are we discussing right now? Bhagavan says you have to understand the second line, right? Sarva Bhuteshu cha Atmanam. I am the Atma of all Bhuta. It is difficult to directly make this jump. So Bhagavan says, you know those two terms, Tvam pada Shodanam and Tat pada Shodanam. Inquiring from individual conditioning standpoint is Tvam pada Shodanam. Inquiring from totality standpoint is Tat pada Shodanam. You have to reach at the same consciousness. He says if Tat pada is what you want to understand, start inquiring from Tvam pada first. Just like you did Tvam pada Shodanam, same way you have to do Tat pada Shodanam. So in Tvam pada, where does he start? He says, Yatha asya dehasya. Just like this Mumukshu sees his body. He says, what is the definition of body? He says, Karya karna sanghatasya. It is assemblage of causal body, subtle body, and gross body. Mumukshu says, I am the Atma of this Deha. Karya karna sanghatasya Atma aham. Just like you do Tvam pada Shodanam. In the same way, you have to do Tat pada Shodanam. But after saying this point, that I am Atma of this Deha, Bhagavan elaborates it further. What do we mean when you say, I am Atma of this Deha? First indicator is, I am Sarva Pratyaya Sakshi. I am the witness of all thoughts. I am not the thought. Second is, I am the enlivener of this assemblage. Any movement that is seen in assemblage is enlivened by me alone. So Chetayita, that is who I am. Kevalaha. Kevala means I don't have any parts and I am not part of this assemblage. These are all meditation pointers. Huh? When we say I am Sakshi, he says all these details should come to mind. That I am not part of this assemblage at all. Upanishad in Kenopanishad said, one who attains this is already liberated. Parityasmat lokat amrutaha bhavanti. The one who has gotten up from this assemblage, knows I am not part of this assemblage, is already free. Nirgunaha doesn't have jnana, ichha, and kriya shakti. Anena eva swarupena, in the same way, just like you did Tvam pada Shodanam, he is doing it for Tat pada also. Avyaktadinam sthavarantanam aham eva atma iti. See, I am the Atma of this entire prapancha, starting from avyakta all the way till sthavara. Sarva Bhuteshu cha Atmanam. I am the Atma of all Bhuta. Now somebody might say, if you are Atma of all Bhuta, and this Bhuta is so many, there is so much of variety, manyness is there in you. Manyness is there in Bhuta. And if you are the substratum, wouldn't that bring some duality in the substratum? He says, in spite of Atma being substratum of duality, it is Nirvishesha. Nirvishesha means superimposed doesn't bring any modification in the substratum. Ekarupa, one without the second, Nirvishesha, I am. Yahatu anupashyati, the one who sees it. Saha tataha, that person having gained this knowledge. Tasmad eva darshanat. Tato na vijugupsate is there, right, in mantra. So tataha word, Bhagavan is elaborating now. Tasmad eva darshanat, because of this knowledge, na vijugupsate, doesn't have any vijugupsa. What is vijugupsa? It says vijugupsam grunam na karoti. Doesn't have any hatred. Doesn't have any reason to get fed up with this world. Praptasya eva anuvadaha ayam. This is the most important part. Bhagavan says this kind of expression in that sadhaka, that he doesn't have disgust towards the world, doesn't get fed up in the world. He says that is not some sadhana he is doing now. Praptasya eva anuvadaha ayam. Anuvada means it's a restatement of his knowledge. What knowledge he has gained, expression of that knowledge in this world is in this form. Praptasya eva anuvadaha ayam. He says his entire creation as his own self. Now in devotee's life, you will see the same bhavana, but presented in a very sweet way. One saint in Maharashtra, Namdev Ji Maharaj, such a great devotee of Bhagavan, it is said when Namdev Ji Maharaj would sing, Bhagavan would do nritya. Namadeva Kirtana, Kare Prema Bhara, Nritya Kare Bhagavan. That was his closeness with the Lord. If he sings, Bhagavan would come and dance. And whatever naivedyam he would keep, Bhagavan would eat that naivedyam. But what happened was, he got so devoted to one form, he was not growing beyond that form. So Bhagavan, when he sees his devotees stuck somewhere, he will do some leela by which they will be pushed further in their journey. So one day Namdev Ji Maharaj is with all his other bhaktas, all were great saints. He had gone to the home of Gora Kumbhar, a potter who was also a great devotee of the Lord. And he's sitting there. And one devotee comes and asks this Kumbhara, says, we all are sitting here. Can you please tell us who is a pakka devotee and who is a kacha devotee? Pakka means well ripened. Kacha means still raw. He says, you are a Kumbhara, right? You are a potter. So you have this art of knowing which pot is done, which pot is baked, which pot is raw. He said, this is also a pot. Please tell us who amongst us is pakka devotee, who amongst us is still on the path, still kacha. Gora Kumbhar says, of course I can do that. I have a stick. I just place it on that, on my pots. Whichever one is raw, that stick springs up. I just have to keep it. It springs up. That is what I will do. I will go and keep on everybody's head. Wherever it springs up, that means it is still raw. Now he keeps on everybody's head, that stick stays. But when he comes to Namdev Ji Maharaj, it springs up. Namdev Ji feels so bad that he goes back and starts fighting with Bhagavan. Panduranga Bhagavan starts fighting with him. He says, Bhagavan, What did you do in front of everybody? I thought I was the devotee, and you come and we talk to each other like we are friends. And here this Gora Kumar tells me that you are still raw. You are not gone further yet. Bhagwan tells him that is because you have not made a guru yet. You have not had a guru yet. Go find somebody called as Visoba Kechar. He is a great realized soul. Make him your guru, and then he will guide you further. Namdevji Maharaj says, where will I find him? Just go to that Shiva temple. There he is there in our village. That is where he lives. Then Namdevji Maharaj goes there and he finds Visoba Keshar Ji with both his legs on Shivalinga. And he says, what kind of a person is he? And I want to make him my guru. So while he is thinking all this, he says, no point in staying here, wants to go back. Visoba Keshar Ji says, oh, you have come and you're going back also. What happened? Namdevji Maharaj says, do you even know what you are doing? You have both your legs on the Shivalinga. Visoba Keshar Ji says, I'm too old. I didn't even realize there was a Shivalinga here. If you feel I have done something wrong, please take my foot, put it somewhere else where there is no Shivalinga. And Namdevji Maharaj puts it on the side. Swayambhu Shivalinga comes there. Another Shivalinga. Wherever he keeps it, there is another Shivalinga there. Then the Upadesha that Visoba Keshar Ji gives Namdevji Maharaj is a sixth mantra of Ishavasyopanishad. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani eva anupashyati Sarva Bhuteshu cha Atmanam. It says that Bhagwan whom you worshipped in one form is the same Bhagwan appearing in all forms. That Atma Tattva, which we have understood as Sarva Pratyaya Sakshi, that same Atma Tattva is Sarva Bhuta Sakshi. Whenever that happens, this is the result of that knowledge is no Vijugupsa. Tataha na Vijugupsate. Last part of Bhashya. Sarvahi Gruna Atmanah Anyat Dushtam Pashyatah Bhavati Atmanam Eva Atyanta Vishuddham Nirantaram Pashyatah Na Gruna Nimittam Arthantaram Asti Iti Praptam Eva Tato Na Vijugupsate Iti. Sarvahi Gruna, whatever Gruna we might have in life, whenever we get fed up with something, disappointed, dejected with something, it can have only two reasons. What is it? Sarvahi Gruna Atmanah Anyat Dushtam Pashyatah. Only the one who sees something as different from oneself and sees some limitation in that object. That is when Gruna will come. Wherever we see or wherever there is sense of mind, sense of I, says there no matter what dosha is there, still there is no Gruna. No matter what disappointment comes there, we never get turned off from that thing. Why is it? Because I see myself there. Best example for this is family and children. No matter what sorrow comes, even if they say something, children, parents never feel hurt by that thing. The moment Anya Darshanam starts happening, Anya Darshan, even if we feel hurt, we sort it out very quickly. The moment Anya Darshanam starts happening, we think of themselves as different from us. That is when every small thing bothers. So here Bhagavan says, if at all we get frustrated with something, we should ask ourselves, have we lost sight of Atma Drishti? That's why the two examples you took. One was nail, another was hair. As long as it is attached to us, I have aham buddhi in that nail, aham buddhi in that hair, no dosha. Moment it becomes different, that is when all dosha starts. Dushtam pashyatah. Pashyatah is that person. Person's name is that. Atmanah anyat dushtam pashyatah bhavati. Gruna happens only in that person who sees this world as different from himself and sees limitations in that world. Atmanam eva atyanta vishuddham. On the other hand, who sees that Atma which is very, very pure. Vishuddham Atmanam nirantaram pashyatah. Nirantaram is another beautiful word. Nirantaram means without any break. Avichinnam. This is the ripened stage of a sadhaka. Otherwise, in beginning stages, it will be when we hear Vedanta, we feel, this is how this is. Truth is like this only. Whole creation is nothing but consciousness. But the moment we get back to our routine, all our previous notions, Bheda Drushti creeps in. So Bhagavan Shankaracharya is clarifying this person is able to hold on to this understanding even in his Vyavahara. See, Gruna will happen only in Vyavahara. If somebody is totally withdrawn, sitting in a cave, what will he have Gruna with? Rocks don't speak. Stalactites, what is coming from top, the water. There is no Gruna there. Next Bhagavad Gita class, we will discuss this, 5th chapter. 3 things we have to manage in life. Vastu, Vyakti, Paristhiti. Object we have to manage. People we have to manage. Situations we have to manage. Out of these things, Gruna will come with what? It can come with Vastu also. More likely it will come with Vyakti and Paristhiti. And Vyakti and Paristhiti, when do we end up interacting with? In Vyavahara. So here he says, in his Vyavahara, he is able to remember that Vishuddha Atma. Atyanta Vishuddham Nirantaram Pashyatah Na Gruna Nimittam. There is no cause for Gruna. What is the cause for Gruna? Dvaita Buddhi. Dvaita Buddhi. Once Dvaita Buddhi is removed, reality to duality is removed, Arthantaram na asti, na gruna nimittam arthantaram asti iti praptam eva. There is nothing else at the same degree of reality. It is what is there to have gruna towards. Again, dream example will help us here. If let us say we had some heated discussion with somebody in dream. Now when we wake up, the nimitta for that experience is not there. Means we have removed the reality given to dream. Hopefully that dream experience should not bother us in waking. Okay? Like that he says, if Jnani who has removed reality to duality and negated prapancha, where is the nimitta for gruna? Where is the scope for jealousy and gruna to come? Praptam eva, that praptam actually refers to arthapatya praptam. We had seen different pramanas, right? One pramana is called as arthapatti pramana. Means if you are seeing this result, it is possible only when such a thing has happened before. That is arthapatti. If you are seeing the whole ground wet outside, he says nobody could have hose piped it. Such a result is possible only if it has rained yesterday. Like that, the sadhaka is applying arthapatti pramana here. If at all there is no ghuna in life, mean the sadhaka has understood the truth. Without understanding nature of truth, negating the world, freedom from this jealousy, freedom from frustration is just not possible. That is the other way to look at this. Tataha na vijugupsate iti. Okay. We'll just do another Simhavalokanam in the next session. You know what is Simhavalokanam, right? Recap. Like a lion goes in front and looks all around before it starts going ahead. Simha Avalokanam. Like that, this Upanishad mantras, whenever we study Bhashya, we have to just do another recap. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om